She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Bad habits just seem to be so hard to kick, right? That's what people say. Oh, you know, it's just a habit that I have. Hey, welcome to Dani Johnson Show. We are so blessed that you decided to join us. We're talking about some habits that maybe we can form that can help us to become really successful, and maybe even some of those bad habits, you know, that everyone seems to have, whether it's biting fingernails, you know, being a sucker to those late night infomercials, could be even pornography, not a good bad habit to have, smoking, drinking too much, watching too much Netflix, you know, swearing, ooh, overreacting, procrastinating. Oh, that one's, yeah. Procrastinating probably is not the best bad habit. You got to hear what Benjamin Franklin said about habits. He says, your net worth to the world is usually determined by what remains after your bad habits are subtracted from your good ones. That was a very wise statement. I had to share it with you. So you know that here on the Dani Johnson Show every single day, we bring to you content that is going to challenge you. We also spotlight on some things that could be hurting your future. I know that you want to succeed. I also know that you don't want to just follow what everybody else says about success. You know, the status quo, sometimes the status quo has got to be obliterated because they have told us that we need their bad habit in order for us to become successful. You know, just like recently I spoke to a young woman who's 24 years old, who has $150,000 worth of debt that only $75,000 of it is secured by a house. The rest of it was from frivolous spending. Isn't that wild? Frivolous spending on what? Because society told her that in order for her to be a good mom, her kids have to wear expensive clothes. In order to be a good mom, she's got to drive an expensive car, buy expensive shoes for her kids, and feed them expensive food. That's what society is telling us is successful. So yes, honey, go into debt. You're 24 now carrying a huge amount of debt. Oh, well, so sorry you feel like a loser and a failure now. Listen, I cannot stand with that. That bothers me. This is why every day you and I have got to get together, hold each other accountable, and talk about the truth about what's going on in our lives, and is it really leading us to where we are called to go? You have a calling on your life. You have something specific you are to do with yourself, specific talents, specific abilities, specific gifts that you've been given when you were knitted together in your mother's womb. What are you using them for? What are you using them for? So, and what is hindering them? That's what we're going to talk about today. Habits, good, bad, or indifferent. What are some things that you would like to change? Or what are some things that you have changed already? That you went, oh, this is not helpful for me. There comes a place where all of us have to get to where we say, I got to change. I got to change. I can't keep going in this direction, which is exactly where Bonnie Moran found herself from Lippin, Texas. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show, Bonnie.
Hey, how are you?
Good. So what habits did you have to kick to the curb?
The shopping, the buying $300 worth of groceries every time I went to the store. We had a bad habit of saying we can't afford it, but yet we had what we thought everybody else had. And so we were just in this cycle where my husband made good money and we would have everything that our hearts desired. And then whenever the money was gone, here we have all this debt. And it was just this bad cycle we could not get out of. And we were showing our kids. And all my kids ever said is, I want. I want what my friend has, and I want what the neighbor has. And I got to a point where I was really tired of the I want. I could not make my kids understand there was a difference between need and want. And so my aunt had heard about your seminars, and she said, I think you need to go. So I went. Well, then I come home from the first step to success, and I was like, oh, God, I have figured it out. I have found it has been brought to my attention, our problem. Mm-hmm. And then my family was not real excited about it.
Because Mommy came home and said, no!
Yes. And my husband wasn't really excited about it. And I'm I'm a more aggressive partner in the relationship, and so he usually does whatever I want to do. He's happy with whatever. As long as I do it and I make the decision, he's happy with it. And he was kind of like, what? I mean, I said, we're spending $100 a week at the grocery store, no less and no more, $100. And he really thought I had lost my mind. And it was really hard on my family because they would go to the cabinet and stand there with the door open, and the shelves would be bare.
Empty.
and they're like, we don't have any food. And I said, we have plenty of food. I made a menu, and I bought the ingredients, and this is what we're going to have. There's not junk, guys. But
hold on a second, Bonnie. Let's backtrack. What would happen before when you spent $300 a week on food, and they would go to the pantry and the fridge and the refrigerator, the freezer, and they would open it up? Wouldn't they still sit there and go, there's nothing to eat?
Yes.
Exactly. Isn't that crazy?
And then, I mean, my husband and I have been married 12 years, and every year we have in the fall and in the spring, we clean heavily. And we throw away so much because it's outdated. And so when I went to...
Okay, hold on, Bonnie. How much, what is the dollar amount that you would put on the things that you would throw away every fall and every spring?
Oh, I bet at least $500 worth of stuff.
Yep.
At least.
Yep. So that's $1,000 between those two seasons when you go through and clean everything out that's been expired. $1,000 a year in the trash. Which is a bad habit. It's a bad Exactly. It's a bad habit to buy more than what we need. It's a bad habit to throw away food. It's a bad habit to fill our pantries to the brim, and the freezer is stuffed so much so that you gotta really, you're ruining something that's in the freezer and you gotta shove it. And of course the fridge. And there's so much junk packed in the fridge that you don't even know what's in there. And yet everyone opens it up and says, there's nothing to eat.
Right, and it's stuffed so full, it's having to work harder to keep it all cold, so your electric bill's going up. I mean, it's like, so my family got a huge eye-opener, and I went to creating a dynasty. I bought my ticket before I come home because I figured, I had a business, I owned a hair salon, and I just felt very drowning by that, plus my debt at home, and it was just so much. And so I went ahead and bought my ticket and came home and told my husband, I'm going. And he said, how are you going to pay for it? And I said, I don't know, but I'm going. So it'll work. It'll just have to work. I'll figure that out later. And I went to creating a dynasty and learned more, came home. I got the grooming the next generation. I got war on debt. Yes. We did the studies at home. I mean, my family really did not think I was working on all cylinders because I would have dinner and Dani. And that's what we did because I told my husband, we are listening every day. When you get in your car, your hour drive to work, you listen. My 30-minute drive to work, I'm going to listen. And then we're going to study at home at night. And he thought I was nuts. My kids thought, what's wrong with her? And so I said, you'll all have to be on board. If this is going to work, I can't do this alone. We have to do it together. Yeah. So then I took all of them, because when I went to Dynasty, I thought, if I just buy my husband a ticket, then he won't waste the money. So he'll go. And it was Dynasty last January in California. Mm-hmm. So I bought his ticket, and I come home, and I mean, I was healed from a lot of things. So when I came home in November, I cried for a month because of so much that was lifted off of me. Yes. And my husband said, I don't know what she did to you. You never cry. You never get upset. She broke you, and you need to go back and she needs to fix it because I can't handle it. And I said, well, guess what? I bought you a ticket, and you get to go be fixed too. And he thought, you're going to be in trouble the rest of your life. So I told my kids, Dad and I are going to California on vacation. We're going to a Dani seminar. And they all three said, we want to go. Wow. Whatever she's doing to you, we want to know. We want to hear it firsthand. Wow. So I called and talked to Nate a whole lot, and I bought all 3 of my kids a ticket,
Wow.
and we drove to California from Texas, and we spent all these days in California at the LAX and went to the First Steps to Success.
What's happened since then?
Major changes. My children at that time were 12, 10, and 6. And every time we go to the store, if we put something in the basket, the first thing my 7-year-old says is that needed or is that wanted? If I buy groceries and I come home with more than what was on my list, my children say, was that a wise purchase or a foolish purchase? They hold me accountable, and I don't get mad at first, which my husband would get aggravated, and at first I did, and I told him, keep doing it.
Yes.
I have to have an accountability partner, and that's what y'all are being for me.
Yes.
And we paid off, last year, we paid off thousands and thousands of dollars in debt with what we already made. Wow. And we felt like when I started this, we were drowning. There was no extra money. And we paid off a lot of debt just with what we already made. And we worked on our house that is an older home and needed repair. And we sold my hair salon, and we put in another one right here by the house. That way I'm
closer.
I work smarter, not harder.
Yep.
And my kids hold me accountable.
Wow.
And they've even done it. They go to school. Their friends have everything. We live in a very small community, and there are some very wealthy and some very not so wealthy. And my kids want what everybody else has. And I don't say no. If they want it, I tell them I'll buy it. But I want them to make the decision. That way it's not mom said no or mom's being mean. They make the conscious decision.
Is this wise or is this foolish?
Is this wise or is it foolish?
Is this wise or is this foolish? And am I trying to keep up with the 98%ers who are living the facade of keeping up with the Joneses, racking up debt, getting addicted to junk food, getting addicted to shopping, and curing bad habits at a young age that will set them up for financial duress for the rest of their lives? Oh, they may not look like they're in financial duress on the outside, but on the inside, they will be a mess. Fighting with their spouse over finances, feeling like failures if they can't provide the best of everything for their families. I love your story, Bonnie, and I am so proud of you for taking a stand for the family and grooming your children for success. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this. Hi, this is Dani Johnson. Let me ask you something. Do you dream about doing hair and makeup professionally? Have you ever noticed that one stylist can charge $20 for a service and another can charge $200 and they're both on the same street? What's the difference? Their skill. One has invested into higher level of skill beyond the basic training that is offered out there. If you want to do hair and makeup, why start at the bottom? You can learn expert skills and earn professional money doing something you absolutely love. That's why I'm excited about XMH Beauty. Xtina Harmsworth has a track record of results, a professional hair and makeup artist working with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. She wants to help you achieve your dreams by teaching you her professional beauty techniques and insider secrets that will set you apart from everyone else. So don't sit on your dream another minute. Learn from the best. Get in touch with Xtina today. xmhbeauty.com. Again, that's xmhbeauty.com. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org. kingsransom.org.
If you've ever wanted to make millions, change the world, be the voice for the voiceless, and have a blast doing it, then you need to spend some time with this lady right here. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
If you think you can't, you're right. I'm sold. I can't do this, Dani, and I can't get over my cigarette habit, and I can't get over my shopping habit, and I can't get over my screaming at my husband habit, and I can't get over what's the word? You're right. You can't. You're already convinced, and you're convincing everybody else of what you can't do. But here's what I do know. I know the truth, that if I think I can, I certainly have a shot. But if I know I can't, then I haven't even begun the chance of trying to find out whether or not if I could. Habits. You have habits that are either working for you or they're working against you. And here on the Dani Johnson Show, every single day, we are tackling those habits that are keeping us from success and imparting new habits into you and into me that are helping us to become more successful. I'm not talking about the lie, the facade of success that seems to be spitting out over the television and books and radio and in music. I'm talking about real success. Success that does not require you to sacrifice your family, your fun, your health, your life, but instead having a holistic approach to success, becoming financially free, paying off all of your debt, not drowning underneath it anymore. Also, reducing the amount of stress that is happening in your house. It is possible to overcome bad habits. I promise you, people do it every single day, and guess what? You're next. So what bad habits did you have, or which ones are you trying to work through right now? So whether you have a success story of breaking through some bad habits, or you need help breaking through some bad habits, we want to hear from you. Going over to the phones, we've got Dina Tognati from California. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hello, thank you.
Hi, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So what about you? What were some of the bad habits you had, or are you still wrestling with a few?
Wrestling with a few, for sure. But I went to, just recently learned about you, Dani Johnson, and I heard about the conference that you were doing in LA. So my girlfriend and I went out there and First Steps of Success and had an amazing eye-opening time. And I didn't even go in there thinking about your whole, the personalities and the gems and how that can tie into your whole entire world, and it opened my eyes quite a bit. And so my husband, he was very unclear about what the whole thing was about. So I did end up getting your book, The First Steps to Wealth. So I'm starting to read that, and now I'm asking him to also read it with me. Awesome. So we can get an idea. And I've been explaining different things, how to be debt-free, how to do things from what I've learned with you. And we made a small little mogul of a goal here. We paid my car payment off.
Wow.
Now we're one less bill, which wasn't huge to us. It was $1,000.
Awesome.
So that's done. And
how does that feel to have your car paid for now versus just still carrying on to that thing for many more months than it should have?
Oh, I've never not had a car payment. This is the first time in my life, being 46 years old, not having a car payment.
Okay, Dina, tell me, how does that feel for the first time ever in your life?
Amazing. Amazing.
Now, let me ask you, do you value your car more now that it's totally paid off than you did before when it had a debt?
Definitely.
How do you feel about yourself?
I feel good. Now I'm like, we have this extra money. Where do we apply it? Yep. How about the next bill?
Yes.
Let's get this paid down. So ordinarily, it might be kind of fun to go spend it. It might be kind of fun to, just put it in savings, which we need to do too, but I also think it's important to get rid of stuff so we can save more.
Yes. So you have broken a habit. You are breaking the habit of debt, but you broke a habit of always having a car payment. You just broke that habit. Is that empowering to you?
It is. It's very empowering, and it gave us quickly, when we made that last payment, it gave us a different outlook of what's next.
Yes.
Instead of living what bills this month, now we're what's next off our list, and that's the approach we're taking to get the next one done.
That's so awesome. What do you say to people who have encountered a debt Like, are you now getting verbal to even your friends and your family members and people maybe even on social media about you don't have to live under debt? Are you letting people know that there is a solution?
I did. I ranted and raved about your conference, and then shortly after your conference, I am posting. Last week, I made my post about I pay my car off. I have no more payment. How about you?
That is so inspiring, lady. I'm telling you, Dina, I'm so proud of you. And you and I are the same age. So I can only imagine how now you're looking at the future that now is brighter instead of, gosh, I've been living this way for 46 years. Do I want to continue in this way? Breaking a bad habit is certainly a way to change your life. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need.
I'm so blessed that I found what is in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is a book that is being taught in universities around the world. It's been noted as the best book on parenting that has ever been written. Crazy, if you ask me. But the point is that this thing gets results. Get your copy today, 888-757-8880. Again, that's 888-757-8880. Or go to DaniJohnson.com. That's D-A-N-I Johnson.com. Get your copy today.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Dani, it's just so hard to break my habit of procrastination. It's just so hard. I've tried so many times and it's just so hard. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Today we are talking about habits that can actually form terrible things in our lives or habits that can lead us to success. One habit that I had, especially in my early days, I grew up in so much condemnation in such a critical home and so much abuse. I mean, a huge amount of abuse from my stepfather and my mother, that I was emotionally abused, physically abused, verbally, oh my gosh, verbally tormented, screamed at every day. It was awful. I was also sexually abused. I grew up in a place where everything was always negative. I never could do anything that was right. I was never good enough. You know, no matter what my grades were, they were good. It didn't matter. You know, the reminder of the bad one that I got the last quarter was the one that was talked about. You know, it was just so much condemnation. There's so much pain from those words. And the habit that I had was using my mouth in the same way about myself, to myself, and to others. And so if you have something in your life that's stopping you, impeding you, that is you're ejecting you from success, then friend, what you need to do is watch your words. Your words largely determine what you become in life, especially what you speak about yourself, what you speak even about others, what you speak about your situation. And what I learned a long time ago was that I had to learn to focus on the things that I was doing right. I had to learn to focus on the things that were going good. I had to learn how to focus on things that were going well in my life. And it took me a long time to find what those things were because I was so trained to just speak negative, to speak death, if you will, to destroy things with my mouth. And that was destroying me with my own mouth. So we're talking about today, how do we overcome habits that we know that are hurting our earning potential, that are hurting our relationship potential, that are even hurting our physical bodies. You know, I found that, especially from my bloodline, there's just every kind of disease that you can imagine. Everyone dies young. My Aunt Marie she's now 75, and she's now reached the oldest person ever in our whole family, because everyone usually dies young. You know, in their 40s is typically where most people have died in our family, and this is how they spoke about it. You know, I'm just gonna die. You know, that's killing me. You know what I mean? Or I'm sure I'm going to have a heart attack, just like, Uncle Michael had a heart attack. And here I found myself in that same way. I would speak the same way about myself. I literally put a curse on myself. And I used to tell people, I'm not going to live past 39. No one in my family does. Again, that was by my own words. I was going to be condemned by my own words. Or by my words, I could be acquitted. And it's the same for you. So you want help with handling some bad habits, changing some things, today is the show for you. Or if you have already overcome, as we've already heard from two of our faithful listeners of the Dani Johnson Show, they've overcome some bad habits and it resulted in some great success for them. So we're going over the phones. Again, we've got Crystal Morgan from Detroit, Michigan. Crystal, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. How can we help you today?
Hi.
Hi. Hello, are you there?
Yes.
There we
Hello?
go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Crystal, perfectly.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So what is the area, a habit that you're saying today I need to fix?
Procrastination.
Okay, how does it look like? What does procrastination look like for you?
I might have a task that needs to be done, and it'll only take 20 minutes. So instead of doing it now, I'll do it later, or I don't feel like moving to the area where it needs to be done right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it later.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of just piles up at the last minute where you have to rush and get it done.
Right. So I have a question for you. When is the first time that you can remember procrastinating and saying, oh, I'll do it later?
High school. This has been a long time bad habit.
Okay.
I remember I had to write a paper on procrastination because I did not turn in an assignment for my 12th grade English teacher.
Oh, ouch. Okay, so you're saying high school. So by your senior year, you had to write a paper about this. But let's go back even before then. Would you find that your parents were procrastinators? Did you learn how to be a procrastinator from your mom or your dad?
Definitely.
Oy.
Definitely. My mother is still a procrastinator, to this day. She just puts things off until you can no longer put it off. And I believe that's where I inherited the habit from.
Wow. So this says something to me, right? Do you have children yourself?
Yes.
Do you love them?
Yes.
How much do you love your kids?
I love them to the moon and beyond.
Do you love them enough to kill the habit of procrastination that was taught to you since you were a kid?
Yes.
Do you know why you need to kill the habit for your kids?
So that they won't have it?
You learned it from mom and dad, right?
Yes.
Right? And do you think that your mom and dad loved you greatly?
Yes.
And do you think that if they had any idea that their procrastination would become your procrastination, do you think they might have made a choice to make a change?
I think so.
So tell me this. How has procrastination hurt you?
I just feel like I lost a lot of time, a lot of things that, once I get something done and I think about it like, wow, this could have already been done.
Yeah.
I could have made my career transition. I could have been successful in my business. It just seems like, I waste a lot of time. I mean, I do get things done, but the time from the initial thought to having it done is wasted.
Yeah. So obviously that kind of cuts away at your self-esteem, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't make you feel like a good woman, a good mother, a good leader, a good coworker, a good person in society.
Exactly.
So it's hurt you and it has demoralized you. And yet you love your children as I do, right? We love them like bigger than life. Sometimes we have to come to a place of going, hold on a second. Do I want to pass this down to my children? And do I want to pass this down to my grandchildren? Because if you allow mom and dad's habits, they loved you. They were wonderful people. If they had any idea that their procrastination would become yours, they would have stopped it immediately. It's kind of like this. Have you ever seen this video? It went around on Facebook and other various different places. It's incredible. And what it shows, I don't know if you've seen this, but try to search for it. It's amazing. And so, Crystal, what it is it shows this little 4-year-old girl going up, or a little boy, it's a little girl, following her mom up the escalator. And every scene, every scenario, it shows a little kid acting exactly like their parents. And so the mom is smoking a cigarette, and so is the 4-year-old little girl. They have another scene of a mom screaming out of her window as she's driving the car, and she's obviously cursing somebody out, and her little boy is in the next window, right? He's in the back seat with the window down, pointing and cursing somebody as well. It's a very convicting video. It makes you go, ah, yikes, because they are being trained up with what they see us do. They really are. And so you know the pain and the hurt and the demoralization that's happened on you because of this. So then you have to ask yourself, do I really want to pass this down to my kids? And so one of the ways to fix procrastination is to apologize for it. Is to sit your kids down and say, please forgive me. I've made a huge mistake. And what the mistake is that I've made is I've taught you it's okay to procrastinate based on my example. And what I'm going to ask you to do is hold me accountable as I hold you accountable. We have to fix this as a family. We cannot continue to let this procrastination baton to be passed down into the next generation and the one after that. I want to do the right thing as a mother and take responsibility for my own actions. It doesn't matter where I pick this habit up from. What matters is that I fix it in my generation. So will you please forgive me, number one? And will you please hold me accountable? Number two, I have to fix this. And I give you full permission to call me out on whatever it is that I am pushing off to get done later, because this has to stop. Accountability and responsibility, taking responsibility, asking forgiveness, and getting accountability partners is the best way to kill something like procrastination, and any habit for that matter. It's being truthful and honest, and then making steps every day. And when you do mess up, let's say that there is something that you start to procrastinate on, this is where you have to say, please forgive me, I screwed this up, I have to make this right now. Let it come out into the light. And as it comes into the light, it no longer is hiding in darkness. What's in darkness has power over you. What comes into the light no longer has power over you, but now you're free. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Crystal, I'm proud of you because you didn't procrastinate. You called in. So I know there's things that you do hit on head on. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Stay right here for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
When we're trying to break a habit that is not helpful and beneficial to our overall success in life, and I'm talking about holistic success. I'm not talking about the stuff that gets spoon-fed to us every single day by the media that says houses and cars and things and riches and fame is what makes you successful. Those things do not make you successful, because we see a lot of those people who live in broken relationships with messed up lives, and some of them commit suicide. Others of them want to commit suicide, have all kinds of addictions. That's what's behind the doors of what the media has sold us to be success. I'm talking about the truth about success, true success, your destiny, okay? Whether that is living on a little bit of money, but in complete harmony with your family and great joy, and you're doing something great with your life, like helping those who can't even help themselves. That, to me, is successful. A dollar amount attached to your life, that means nothing. I've had it all, friend. I've had it all. I denied myself nothing when I first made my first million, and my second million, and my third million. Like an idiot, denied myself nothing, only to pay a heavy price of brokenness everywhere and realize, man, it wasn't worth it. And when I stopped chasing money, And I started to chase things that were much more important in life. First of all, my God. Second of all, a healthy relationship with my husband and my children. And as we work through all kinds of crazy, disappointing things and sufferings that happen just through everyday life, we're able to move ahead with peace that passes all understanding, move through our struggles and our nonsense and our insecurities, and rise up truly choosing to be a blessed people. And yes, since that time, yes, our finances have grown and have been blessed, and we've had seasons of great, great, great plenty, and we've had seasons of less, but the money never determines the happiness. That is a huge habit that we had to break. Greed. Oh gosh, yes, greed. Anyway, so it's important to celebrate your progress. So if you're trying to break a habit of procrastination, like for example, we just finished talking about with Crystal, it's important that any little bit of progress that you're making in the right direction, that you pat yourself on the back. Yes, and that you maybe have accountability partners with you to say, hey, I did this. I did a good thing. I did a good thing. I started to procrastinate from taking that test that I was supposed to take. I started to, but rather than it taking me 20 minutes to go take it, I took it in 5. Awesome. Right? So this is good. You have to make a big deal about anything that you're doing that is in the right direction of what you want to succeed in. For example, a habit of, I don't like to confront people. I'm afraid to confront people. I'm afraid to confront an issue. And therefore, you end up hurting yourself and others because of that. And so we procrastinate to have that conversation. And again, at the end of the day, it hurts everybody that is involved. That's exactly where Valerie finds herself. Valerie Towers from Oswego, New York. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. How can we help you today?
Hi, Dani. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Yes, I do have the habit of procrastinating when it comes to confronting issues or people. I'm a Pearl Sapphire, which I learned from you. And I would rather do anything else but confront somebody.
Yep.
But Friday, I overcame an issue that I've been putting it off for 2 years. I had my best friend come over and sit with me while I made the phone call that I needed to straighten out a situation, and it was easy.
Valerie, how did that feel?
I felt like a wet rag afterwards. But I was happy.
Yes. What do you mean you felt like a wet rag afterwards?
I was so scared and nervous through it, I almost couldn't even think of what to say.
Yeah. But then you pushed through it, got to the other side. Were you relieved?
Yeah, oh, immensely. Immensely.
Yes. Now, if you had to do it all over again, would you waited 2 years?
No.
What kept you from making that phone call?
Just afraid they would argue with me that the place I have to call is hard to understand. They're call center people, and they get argumentative, and I don't do well with that.
Yeah, me too. I can't stand. Oh gosh, that creates so much stress, doesn't it? When you know that someone's going to argue with you.
And I was right. There was nothing that I needed to do. I had everything that I needed to do, but I just didn't want to confront the argumentation.
Right. So were you able to disarm the argumentation?
Yes.
So awesome. I'm so proud of you. Now look, well, first of all, you obviously are celebrating that success by calling me and saying, I did it! Last Friday I did this, and that's huge. It's important to celebrate with other people something that you're working on that is normally difficult or fearful for you, that you want to put off or that you want to ignore, but you know that you can't. You actually have to do this. And so that then, do you feel stronger today than you did 2 years ago by confronting that issue?
Oh, absolutely. I learned a lot of it from you at First Steps to Success in San Antonio.
Wow.
And I have been trying to put it into practice.
That's awesome. You're not trying. You are putting it into practice. You put it into practice last Friday.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
You sure did. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. I really am, because that's really important. Think about all the times in your past where you would not confront a situation and how it hurts you more not to confront it. Isn't that true?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And it hurts the person too, doesn't it?
Yeah, because then they think they have power over you.
And you actually are giving them power over you by not having the conversation.
Yeah.
But there is a way to bring restoration in a conversation and not to provoke arguing. And there's a way to enter in that conversation where it creates harmony and restoration, and then it's over. And now there's more mutual respect. Do you have more respect for the person that you confronted last Friday?
Yeah. Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah. And I know they have more respect for you. There's no question. There is absolutely no question. Okay, well, Valerie, maybe it's time to make a list of a few others that you know that you need to confront. Invite your best friend over again. Promise to cook her dinner. And just start going one by one. Imagine how clean your spirit's going to feel. Do you know what I mean? The burden that's going to be completely off your back. Let's just start going one by one by one. Kind of like this. You know, on Saturdays, you got to clean the house. Or on Sundays, whatever day it is that you clean the house. It's like, okay, this is a task. I got to get it done. It's time to clean out the car. Time to wash the tub. Just one at a time. And it'll be so easy for you by the time you get your second one, your third one, all in that same day. It'll be nothing for you. And now you'll have the strength internally that the next time a situation arises, you'll be able to confront it fast because now you have the confidence to do it. I love it. Valerie, I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing that awesome success of breaking that cycle of procrastination when it comes to confronting people. It's important. And it's important that we confront people in love with the overall goal of restoration. Restoration is the goal. It's not to make someone admit they were wrong. It's not to put somebody down. It's not to make someone else feel stupid or bad or dumb. It is for somebody, it's for the light to come into the situation and the miscommunication to come to the surface so that we can now solve it. And then mutual respect is what gets brought in that situation. So oftentimes we allow things to go. We procrastinate in this area, don't we? We allow things to go on and on and on, and then we're just madder and madder and madder. Makes me so mad. I've done that too many times. I've got a situation right now, actually, it's been brewing for too long. And then you know what happens? We end up not confronting the issue, but we scream at the person instead, which is just not cool. And then we feel guilty and we feel bad about ourselves. And why did I do that? Now we are regretful, even though it was the person that made the mistake. It wasn't you that started the whole thing, it was them. But at the same time, we made the mistake by not confronting the issue and bringing restoration to the situation. You gotta have that in order to be successful. You have to know that. In order to succeed, you have to do those kinds of things. It's part of life. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue right after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, this is Dani Johnson. Let me ask you something. How many weddings have you been to in the last year? A bunch, right? Think about it. Wedding bells ringing, champagne flowing, and the bride looking like a model on the biggest day of her life. So that's where there will always be a need for skilled hair and makeup professionals. Why couldn't that be you? The key is getting the right training. XMHBeauty.com does workshops giving that training. Xtina Harmsworth has a track record of results as a professional makeup artist in Hollywood, working with some of the biggest names. One makeup artist recently had the confidence to book 3 weddings after attending Xtina's workshop, and then reported that she handled 7 bridal clients on location in one day. That's serious cash. You don't have to move to Hollywood to make serious cash as a makeup and hair artist. Go visit XMHBeauty.com today. Again, that's XMHBeauty.com. So get to that site immediately and start following your dream. XMHBeauty.com. For families in Santa Pancha, Nicaragua, life is filled with fear and struggle. They don't have enough food for their kids, clean water is hard to find, and they're living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel on top of mining tunnels that could explode and sink at any moment. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming this village. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha to see how you can help. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org, and click on Santa Pancha.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Breaking bad habits. You gotta identify what they are first. That's what we're talking about today here on the Dani Johnson Show. Caitlin Hawkins joins us from Salt Lake City, Utah. Caitlin, what's one of the bad habits that you must break starting today?
Hi. So I think something I've noticed about myself as I've kind of gone through a lot of different, personal development and self-refinement over the last few years is I struggle with staying consistent.
Yes. Consistency. Yes. Yeah. That's a good one, man. Consistency it's impossible to be successful if we are not consistent. And so consistency is a habit. It's a habit that we have to form. And little by little, we create self-discipline. We have to have self-discipline in order to be consistent. And that's consistent in everything. If we're not consistent in the home, we're not going to be consistent at work. If we're not consistent at work, we're not going to be consistent at church. So consistency is a self-discipline that has to be formed inside of us. And it literally happens one little habit, one little thing at a time. And it starts with little things maybe that we start in the morning that we do consistently, and then add more things that we're doing consistently. And it really is. Consistency is a small little muscle that is built one day at a time, one activity at a time, and it can be. You absolutely can overcome inconsistency by being consistent. Okay, we've also got last here Nicole Coleman from Austin, Texas. Nicole, I've got 30 seconds to wrap up the show. What is one habit that you're making a commitment to change today?
I'm just going to try to cut back from making permanent decisions based on temporary feelings.
Oh my gosh, girlfriend! That is a huge mouthful, and that's exactly where I needed to end the show with. Oh my gosh, you think about, we make emotional decisions based on what? We might be PMSing. We might be like menopausal in the moment. We might be like happy with our spouse. We make a big lifelong decision, or we're mad at our spouse. Big lifelong decision. Think about that. Yes, something that is important is to identify some of those emotional habits that we have and how we must use wisdom instead of I'm working on that one right now. Wisdom instead of emotion. We can feel in a second, just like our 2-year-old is mad because his brother stole his toy. And he hates him right there. But then 5 minutes later, they're loving each other. I love it. My gosh, Nicole, that was hitting the nail right on the head. And so it's important to identify, what are some of my emotional habits that are hurting me, keeping me from my destiny, keeping me from being worthy of the calling on my life, and how can I fix those? Here's one quick fix. Wisdom instead of emotion. So good, so good. Take a deep breath and move on. This is Dani Johnson. I hope you enjoyed joining us today. Remember, we got 1,000 homes to build in Santa Pancha, Nicaragua for the extreme poor. You can help. You can put food on the table for life for these precious children who have none. Go to kingsransom.org. Again, that's kingsransom.org. Click on Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. You'll see it right there. A group of us are building 1,000 homes. We'd love for you to join us on that amazing adventure. Not only homes, they'll have water and they'll have food that will reproduce itself. They're going to be in the chicken business and the tailoring business. They're going to get an education because you have helped. You're the hero here today. Hope you join us tomorrow for another exciting day with Dani Johnson. God bless you.
This has been the Dani Johnson Show. If you want to hear more, visit us at DaniJohnson.com.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.